welcome to Bust the Speakers. I'm Kush,
And I'm Alex.
and today we're reviewing Sampha, his album Process. Process is his debut album, and I know he's worked with artists like Solange and Kanye West and Drake at some points, and never as like I think never as like a lead. He's always been like either writing or as a featured artist. I think
pretty much.
He's got really famous from the Solange album, Seat at the Table.
Yeah.
And I think he's like an alternative R&B sort artist, and I think this was just an absolutely fantastic album.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's a very likable, talented young man who's created a very strong R&B album. And I read somewhere that he actually made this all by himself, which is outstanding to me because this is as good as most albums that have a full production team. Like, I'm pretty sure Beyonce and Solange's R&B albums from last year had millions of producers and engineers and such. And I've heard that this was just by himself. So he gains appreciation points for me for that. And, you know, he's got such a lovely textured voice that it's just no wonder that he is on so many featured parts in people's songs. Like, I'd want him on my songs if I made music. And, well, it'd probably make them bearable, at least. His voice is like someone like Sam Smith, because he has the same sort of London boy posh accent, I guess. Except I think he uses it much better in more interesting songs, full of like techno and UK bass influences on some ones. Yeah. So yeah, I really enjoyed this.
So I think overall, every song was different. There was some that had very minimal beats, some that had more almost danceable beats, and some that were just emotional, and some that were just more fun. And he can pull all of that off very, very well. I thought
most of these songs were emotional in some way, because this is like him bearing his soul to the world in a way. Because I was reading up on him, because when I really like an album, I want to know a bit about the guy and surroundings behind it, and maybe even a little bit of his life. I'm not a stalker, I just like to do that. And he seems like a somewhat weak guy, because he's been unable to deal with family members with ill health and problems with them becoming frail and fragile, and he's worried he'll become like that, which is reflected in a lot of these songs, I feel like.
Yeah, I think so. So some of the songs that really stood out to me, one was Cora Sings.
Oh yeah.
The beat reminded me of something off of 24 Karat Magic by Bruno Mars. And they had the intro had the Spanish influenced guitar riff, and the production was absolutely layered and complex, and it was just so dense. There's so many different things going on at the time. And a lot of times artists, when they do that, they just mess it up and it just sounds like garbage. But this just flows so well, and this song, just the production just blew me away. The actual just what he was doing and how he was singing over that such complex production.
Yeah, I noticed a lot. I didn't catch that the riff or whatever was Spanish. I just wrote Eastern, which is a bit odd considering I'm pretty sure Spain is west of where I live.
Yeah.
Somewhat. And it sounded like a sitar, but I'm not well versed enough in that instrument to be able to be sure. But I thought this song added a nice layer of variety to the album that already has a lot of depth. You know, you said every song sounds different. And didn't this have a female sounded backing vocal bit towards the end? I'm not sure if that is Sampha, or if he got someone to sing in with him, or it's a sample, but either way, excellent work on this song, I'd say.
Yeah, that song.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, my absolute favorite, top 3 songs of this year so far, which still not that much since it's only February, but Blood on Me. This is one of the best moderns and has a really powerfully good chorus and vocals. Which I feel like was something that was missing from Kalani's album. She didn't have enough powerful choruses and had great verses, I feel like. But this has been getting a lot of airplay in the UK, so I recognised it, and I wish this would become a hit. and it's very paranoid lyrically. It's got a lot of skittish beats, and something that sounds like something Jamie XX would produce on some XX songs from Coexist anyway. And you think that would intrude on a song like this, but it actually makes it pretty fast-paced and energetic, and the true talents he possesses in layering and implementing his vocal back in, because I think there's some humming or a cappella bouncing just during the chorus, just creates such a full sounding atmosphere. The fact he does this all on his own is amazing to me. He's such a great arranger of his sound. This is just an outstanding song.
So have you heard the new Childish Gambino album, Awaken My Love?
Yeah.
There's one song on there, Zombies, or Zombie or something like that, and it had the same.
Didn't that get a lot?
Yeah, it had the same funk groove kind of feel with it, and I thought that it was just incredible to listen to. Just one of my, I would say Blood on Me is one of my favorite songs. I think my absolute favorite song is well, I don't know, there's too many, but there's one song, the song like the Piano, and
oh man, that is
so
beautiful.
Yeah, that's beautiful. But there's 3 songs before, and then he starts playing the piano, and I'm like, there's nothing this man can't do. He can do literally everything, and there's all the emotions in that. How like the piano was like his best friend, his go-to, just something that he used to get away from everything else, and like there's something like a lot of people can relate with. And my favorite part on this song, it's not even part of the song, the ending, you can hear the birds chirping in the background.
Oh yeah.
People don't do that enough. They gotta do that more often, because it added a whole it made it sound like he was sitting in his living room and just wrote this song and played this song, and when he was done he walked and left, and the window is open, you can hear the birds just chirping. And I think that was a great imagery he created by playing that song, and I just thought it was absolutely gorgeous.
I think that relates to how he recorded this himself. Like, you hear him walking away from the piano at the end. I think that was him, walking away to press the end on the recorder or whatever, probably. And I think I have memories of doing that myself when I was younger, and great memories, obviously. This is a piano ballad dedicated to the piano he played when he found out his mother was diagnosed with cancer, and how the piano was like a form of escapism, like you say, to get away from the world, and like no one knows him like his piano, because he probably vented all of his inner emotions he couldn't face saying to other people to the piano. And I think the actual emotion he must have felt at that time is actually replicated somewhat here. Maybe he thought back to that time, which I think was 8-ish years ago. And wow, this is just one of the most emotional songs I've ever heard, actually.
Yeah, so I think the other song I want to talk about is Reverse Faults.
Okay.
That song had more of like a danceable, what do you call it? Like, so it reminded me
groove?
Groove. Like, it kind of reminded me of like The Weeknd a little bit, but a much more complex beat style. The only problem with that's the one song I had like a slight problem with, is that he sings so high that you can't hear what he's saying. But
okay,
I don't think that's a real problem, because I think it's just gorgeous. And when I looked at the lyrics, it was just, the problem didn't really matter anyway, because then once you know what the words are, you can hear what he's saying.
Yeah, you can understand if you look at lyrics. You can do that with even the most unintelligible, ununderstandable black metal as well, I think. Under, it had almost the a cappella beginning at the start, the vocal effects and sampling, but thankfully it didn't go to any areas of train. So it just shows that if you do it right, you can create something nice and lovely.
Yeah, for sure.
This is about him, falling prey to the allure of a woman. This song, like, he's fallen under her spell, and I feel like he's pretty ambivalent about it, almost. Like, it's pretty matter of fact. He's just explaining what's happening to him. He isn't against or particularly for it. He just seems to be describing what he's in, which is kind of interesting, because most songs are either they're against or completely fallen for a woman. But this seems to be like he's just he doesn't mind or something, which is kind of weird, but that's something else different he does, I feel like.
Yeah, I think that song. I think overall the album is just full of depressing topics, but while
Yeah.
while like it's kind of like a bad thing to say, because I think but the depressing ones are the ones where the artist shows the most emotion, shows the most of himself in the music, and puts so much of himself into the actual music where makes it more enjoyable to listen to and just makes you feel for them. And I think that also resonates in the song "What Shouldn't I Be." The last song, it had almost a post-rock instrumentation, which just completely he just throws random beats and things together and makes this gorgeous sounds. And there's one line where he says, "You can always come home," because he's talking to this girl that he left, or that I guess left him maybe, and he's saying that he's regretting it, what happened. He says, "You can always come home," and it just hit me right in the soul. Like, he's at this point he goes from just being hurt to actually begging the girl to come back, just like because he needs her in his life. And I think that's a parallel to the song Under, about how the girl was so damaging to him, but now that she's gone, it's hurting him even more, so it's like he can't win. And I felt that song in my soul. I was just the song Timmy's Prayer had a Kanye West writing credit in it, and I didn't know Kanye West worked on this album, but I think you can tell just by lyrically what he was saying. That you can tell, like, this is something Kanye West would have written.
Plastic 100 Celsius. That's a very interesting opening, I feel like, because it like samples Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, and that's a bit weird, but it actually helps solidify the song's like space influence, and has a lot of weird metaphors lyrically about he feels like he's melting. Maybe that's to do with his worries about his mental health. Maybe.
Yeah, I said
because it's 100 Celsius plastic's melting point. It might be.
Yeah, I just said how he probably talking about how he feels so vulnerable, like how he feels like just how plastic melts, and how he's just like not able to control what is going on around him. And I'm telling you, this album is just full of absolute emotion and just raw talent, I think.
Yeah, I mean, no wonder people want to work with him. I mean, he probably fully makes his parts for people's songs by himself based on this album.
Yeah, the one song, Take Me Inside, had one line that said it cuts out, or so the piano cuts out and it becomes like a more electronic song at one point, and he says "You're free," and I think he's like, that's the song where he finally accepts that his mother's gonna die, and he's allowing her to let go instead of like forcing her to hang on, and saying like, "I understand, I don't like it, but we have to live with it and move on." And then you can see how later on in the album he's still being hurt so much by his mother not being there with him.
Yeah, something like that is absolutely devastating to me, but the way he's dealt with it, I kind of feel for him. Like, I really like this guy, and just how he's dealt with his stuff, because like I said earlier, he does seem like not a weak guy, but kind of. But there's nothing wrong with that, because I think we get too many rappers who are, or not, he's not a rapper, but just musicians who are trying to be all brave and cool. So I like having a vulnerable musician like this. It's more of a change, I'd say.
It definitely does take a lot of soul to put your problems out there and your weakest side of you, and let everyone hear it.
I think this might be why it's so good, is soul. That used to be coming from the soul music, so maybe that's why it's such a great soul album. It's going back to the roots, kind of.
What would you rate it, Alex?
Now, when it comes to music, I mean, what can I ask for? I mean, this is incredibly inventive, completely likeable, just mind-blowing on a few occasions. Every song was amazing and different. So, bearing in mind how rarely I actually hear that these days from new releases, I feel like, I'm going to give it a 9.
Yeah, so I'm going to give it 8.5. That's a hell of a score. I think we both really enjoyed this album, gave it just fantastic scores. And
Yeah.
There was just not one point in this album where I was tired or bored of what I was doing. The lyrics kept me engaged. The actual instrumentation was intricate, complex, and different for every song. And there's something like Kalani album, probably the closest thing we can compare it to, that just didn't have, because all the beats were very similar. And I feel like this album just had so many things going for it. It came from the soul, and I can't ask for any more from a musician.
Some of this just didn't even have beats because it didn't need them.
Yeah, for sure.
Like the piano song.
Well, if that's it, then thank you for tuning into Busted Speakers. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Let us know how you feel about this album in the comments below, and check us out on social media.